Come on in. To the new and improved afternoon drive show. Peace Almighty. Sister Golden Star. Y'all come on in for the afternoon drive. I think I'm gonna have a slice of my daddy's favorite gum. Peace Almighty, Sister Erica. Peace Lord. Dap Dunlap in the house. Get to chomping down on some of this Big Red. Back in the day, when my mom and them used to wear a curl, y'all remember that? Remember the curl? We used to go over. We had a friend named Gail Muckavine. Gail was a big old tall red bone. My daddy would call her Big Red. They would cuss each other out, but they loved each other. Big Red. All right. So, as y'all can see, I'm coming up in the world. I got one of them things that hold my phone on the dashboard, so I ain't got to ride around with my damn bicep cramped up while I'm driving. Shout out to my wife. She surprised me with she had ordered me one of these little things off of Amazon. So shout out to Miss Robinson. This gum is good. Can y'all hear me? Cause I got these things in my ear and they cut off my hearing. It's hard to gauge. Okay, bet. Peace Almighty. Thanks for tuning in. So I asked people to post like things they want to talk about, and got several people. All right. Peace, Dap. Thank you. And one of them was the Super Bowl, which y'all know I got on here and made my prediction that I thought New England was going to win, which part of me, the homeboy, or one of my homeboys in Houston named Gino, he said something one time about how, as you can see, I got the babies on board. Okay, mama. Okay. I should have taken the highway, because if I keep moving, I might have to do that. Just get on the highway. But he said, and I'm paraphrasing, sometimes it's not so much what they're doing, it's some of the things we see happening is a direct reflection of what's going on in our minds. That maybe, something was supposed to go one way, and because our minds were on a certain frequency, we made something flip. I think there's some validity to that. So, who knows? But I will say this about that Super Bowl. The Eagles weren't even supposed to be there. So we know that what happened with, and anybody who watched the division, or the champion, not the championship, but the round before the NFC Championship with the Vikings and Saints. That supposed miracle pass at the end of the game with the cat with the Saints, which happened to be, I think, number 41, where he throws a whiff. Basically, he was not trying to tackle that guy. He had already been given instructions that, you know, if it comes down to this play, you know, oh man, 30 backed up, that he was, you know, to go out there and miss his tackle. So it was already written in the script that the Eagles and the New England Patriots were supposed to be in a Super Bowl. Now, what's the metaphysics behind that? Or metaphysics / the historical component behind that? Now, the so-called founding fathers of the United States were housed in the area called, what we call now, New England, which is the northeast portion of America. Oh man. Okay, baby. Every time I stop at a red light, she goes off. So that would be New York, Maine, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Delaware, all those states, Pennsylvania, all those states in that area would make up what we call the Northeast. Now, they chose that area because they were trying to build everything as a replica of ancient Kemet or Egypt, which is in the northeast of the African continent. So, what, in my opinion, however this thing worked out, they had it set up to where it would symbolize a revitalization of what they call the United States. Because you got the eagle, which is the war bird, and which is the symbol of the United States, and which is a replica of the hawk, which is Horus. Okay, y'all know this stuff. And then you got the patriot. And what's interesting is that you have a quarterback who was injured, so that means he was lame. So the Eagles represent the lame that could walk again. This strange looking fella right here walking around with his cowboy hat on with his hands in his pocket. You know, then they had all of a sudden this guy for the Patriots. Let me get moving so she'll calm down. This guy with the Patriots, one of their starting defensive backs, who was the hero of last year's Super Bowl, all of a sudden doesn't play, Malcolm Butler. So it was a lot of stuff mixed in that. I originally said that, what did I say? Something about the 33rd degree. But what's interesting is that the double eagle is the 33rd degree in masonry. So I don't know what was the actual whole idea, but I haven't put as much time into this as I normally do, like I used to do on the radio, where I break down I broke down all of the science and the Super Bowl 51 with the Patriots and the Falcons. And it's interesting. You had the Falcons the year before is sacrifice, and then the same basic motif comes back the next year, resurrected, which is the eagle. So I don't know. It might be some type of Christ thing mixed up in there, trying to work this little ritual. But what's interesting, though, I will say, is you have that I think is linked with this. If you go back in your history books, where they mix in a lot of, they create a lot of little mythologies in these so-called histories of the founding fathers. You got the story of George Washington. Pippity poppity, black people are property. Yep. You got the story of George Washington supposedly on Christmas Day 1770, I don't know if it was 76, or 75 maybe, he supposedly crosses the Potomac River and surprises the British troops. No, I'm talking about the Potomac. 1770, Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, one of the two, he crosses the Potomac. And he surprises supposedly the British Army. Now, that would line up with what's called the winter solstice celebration. Okay? Now, what's interesting is that you had this event that happened in June of last year, which is June 14th or 15th, which is right before the summer solstice, where they supposedly had this GOP softball team that they had practicing, and it was a supposed shooting, right? And then there's this senator named Scott Scalise who's shot. And where is he shot? In his hip. Now the symbolism here is pretty obvious. The faces have different, let's see, what is this? Father's Day funny. I think we got us a comedian. Okay, so on June around 14th, coming up around the summer solstice, he gets shot in the hip. Now in the book of Genesis, you have the story about Jacob wrestling God all night, and then he's injured in the hollow of his thigh, right? Scott Scalise at the summer solstice thereabout is supposedly injured in his thigh. Then they come back at this State of the Union, and he roariously for Scott Scalise. I do believe that was all linked up with the Super Bowl, part of this ritual. But that's my little take on that. Now, the other question was about Candyman. Now, this is what they really want to dig in on the metaphysics of this. Now, it's been a long time since I watched that movie, so I can't go back through the details, word for word or scene for scene on that. But I'm just gonna point out the symbols. We know Candyman was had an affinity for bees and honey. Now, and he also had a hook. Now, this is very interesting because we've been talking about the whole concept of knowledge. And we talked about the sign of Cancer, and Cancer being associated with crab, and the crab being associated with the symbol of the hook, and the hook coinciding with the Hebrew letter Yod, and Yod meaning hand, and hand then coinciding with grasp as in knowledge. Well, Candyman has a hook, so he would be synonymous with the crab. He also has this affinity for bees, where, well, in the old, I don't know if this comes out of Greek mythology, where paraphrasing, it is when a bull, when they sacrifice the bull, they take an axe and they cut the skull open of the bull, and a swarm of bees come rushing out of its head. Now, understand the word bull is synonymous with the word flower, with phallus, with spirit, with the word belly, because all of those things symbolize something that can rise up and can swell up. Okay, so the swelling of the bull is like the swelling of its anger. That's how it gets associated in that same family of words. So then the bull, associate that, let's think of it as the phallus. The phallus, when the phallus dies, it is when the phallus has released its essence. And the essence would be, of course, the semen, which is the spirit, and which has the fluid, which is a yellowish, milky type of fluid. That fluid is the same as what we would call ambrosia, or the nectar of the gods. It is what we call colostrum. It is what in the Bible is called the land of milk and honey. So when the bull is slaughtered for the ritual and the head is cut open and the bees come running out, that is symbolizing that the life force has been released from the phallus. So Candyman is the erect phallus. Because you know what does it, listen to his name, Candyman. He's got the candy, he's got the goods, he's got the treats. Okay? And it is also a reference to melanin, because another word for honey is melos. So Candyman is a possessor and has the power of melanin, and he travels at night. He comes out at night. So that's what he represents, and he is also representing knowledge. And knowledge kills. Knowledge is indiscriminate in what it kills, because the word kill is the same as eat, and eat is the same as destroy, and to destroy something is to break something down. So knowledge is having the ability to break down something. That's what Candyman, his killing ultimately represents. Now, I know there's another subplot to it about, something that happened to him, and I can't remember all that, but I'm just looking at just the glaring things on the surface that giving you the route to get to the deeper symbolic meaning of the character. You got candy, you got honey, you got the hook, and you got the fact that he's nocturnal. So that answers that. I don't know if there was some other things. I'm gonna go back and look. I appreciate folks been emailing me and encouraging words, and I appreciate it. But I wanted to do a part. I don't know if it's part 1 or part 2. Part 2. Yeah, part 2 to the Valentine's thing we talked about the other day. But I got to do it when I got time to really finish it. So if I get some quiet time tonight, maybe I can do it at the house. But it's a beautiful story. If you ever go and read the story of how Cupid met Psyche. Pippity, pippity, poppity. Who is this? Oh, it's got a... You got those people who you know, a lot of these people you probably work with, you never know who these weirdos are. What they call trolls. And I think sometimes, some of these trolls, I think they are the black people. It's what's so bad. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I had a phone call. Yeah, I'm gonna do a part. You talking about on the story about Cupid and Psyche that I started the other day. If that's it, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna finish that. I think there are so many jewels to take out of that story, you know, just metaphysically and just to use in your everyday life. I think it's a story that is great for everybody to know about. But yeah, but you know, back to the, you know, I think we had us these people, you know, it's like it's a lot of women are brilliant, and I think they don't want to go online and put themselves out there because you got a lot of just empty people who are just looking to talk shit. And it's amazing. So what? Wait, I thought that video was part of your Fall of Man. It is. It is. Fall of Man was the first one. Then part 2 was the Fall of Man, the Valentine's Day story. Then I'm gonna go back and do a part 2 to the Valentine's, which is actually part 3 of the. So you know, I messed it up. Just trying to do too much. But yeah, they all the same thing. But I want to say this. I know some brilliant women, and I know there are women who go online and who do teach and talk about things. But I think there are a lot of others who are reluctant just cause old fucked up motherfuckers who sit out there and hide behind their keyboard and talk shit. And that energy, they don't want to deal with that negative energy coming across. And it is amazing the number of just coward, weak ass motherfuckers in the world, you know, and you might be sitting beside them at your job and they're afraid of their own shadow. But then they can rush home and they've created this world where where cowards can go and have a realm where they can be somebody. You know, they can attack. They don't have to worry about getting the shit slapped out of them. You know, exactly. Eric said that's why I just talk to people in person. It is. I mean, I understand because, you know, you can never really have like you don't know who you're talking to. That's the thing about mass media. Yeah, it's a great way to get a message out to a lot of people, and people who you probably would never meet in your life, to a bunch of bullshit. And that's why we always love some good old magic. And see, it doesn't matter about the asshole not believing in it. It matters about it being real. And there's always some good old scunion to put on a stupid motherfucker. And see, here's the thing. You don't have to be anybody who is some warlock or some damn wizard. You just have to be a person who is on your purpose and on your mission. And when assholes are making any attempt to disrupt or derail the unveiling of divine knowledge and information, right, knowledge, Dap said, anti-Facebook. You know, it's just, well, you know, it's everywhere though. I mean, but you know, when you're on your mission and you're carrying out divine order, you're always protected. And you know, you don't have to see what happens in folks' lives. You know, you don't have to worry about having that control. Sometimes you want to see the results of the hammer coming down on folk, but you don't have to, because here's the reality. In a world that has lost any substance, you are hard pressed to find things of substance now. This is my old man's word, everything's a facade. Everything's a facade. So in a world where there's little substance, you don't really have to wait around to see people get their just desserts or this and that. Motherfuckers, trust me, people are already suffering. The greatest suffering is to not have no substance. That is the greatest suffering. I was looking up, and I'm gonna have to go here because I gotta go in and get my daughters. But the greatest suffering, I was looking up the word Venus, because Venus is one of the main characters of the story with Cupid and Psyche. And you know, the word Venus ties back etymologically to the word vacant and void, to be lacking. So we have a world full of vanity, where people are very intrigued by taking selfies and very intrigued by giving a status update. There go your Facebook, Dap. Very intrigued in trying to let you present themselves to you in a certain manner. But the reality is they're lacking. They're empty. There's a void. Now, there ain't nothing wrong with a void, in a sense of, you know, in order to, like they say in Zen, I can't teach you Zen until you empty your cup. So there's a good thing to having your cup empty, but there's a lot of people who have their cup empty and don't know that their cup is empty. Okay, look, y'all hold tight. Who that? Got the question about the Super Bowl? Okay, hold tight. We're gonna come back to that. Let me run in here and get my girls, and I'll be right back. I'm on live, girls.
I'm sorry, but...
Here, yep.
Hey, Henry.
Anybody ever heard when you want to snatch or grab things, candy dish to theft? It means your Venus is acting up. I never heard that one. It means your Venus is acting up in the building. What's up, Krishna? Got that good government job. Let's see. Anybody ever heard when you... Oh, no. I have a question about the Super Bowl, those mirrors. What do you think they were symbolic of? Well, I want to say this first, because I'm glad you brought the Super Bowl back up, because that jarred my memory about Oh, hold on, girls. I forgot to give y'all your food. Uh, that jarred my memory about how Justin Timberlake was dressed and the dancers were dressed during this halftime show. Now, he was linked up with, uh, first of all, he his first mission was to deface and demean the great mother because the incident that happened with him and Janet Jackson in that Super Bowl. So let's not forget about that. Everything is connected. Here, take this, girls. And then there's last year, Lady Gaga takes on the persona of the great mother and the supplanter of the seed because she comes in floating into the stadium, NRG Stadium, Energy, and she comes floating in. She's supposed to be the widow because she's the spider, and she's wearing an outfit that looks like sequins or mirrors. Okay, now this year they've got the mirrors as part of the symbolism in the stadium, so that's supposed to be her reflection. And damn fool. So Timberlake is supposed to be a Christ figure that's born in this Super Bowl. So now there you go. There goes why the eagle has to be the bird that represent the winning squad, because the eagle is Horus. So Timberlake is supposed to be the Horus character, okay? Lady Gaga was supposed to be Isis last year. And if you remember, Justin Timberlake is dressed in like this black and red looking, almost looks like kind of faded blood. First thing that came to my mind when I looked at it, I said afterbirth. Afterbirth. What you doing, Jada? So I think those mirrors supposed to represent reflection. And reflection is, basically when you look at your children, or you look at something that has comes out of your gene pool, you're looking at your reflection. Give me some questions. Well, you can't tell me nothing. I got this dash thing, hold my phone up. Flossing on y'all. $8. What else we gonna talk about? Throw out a topic while I'm riding in this congested Friday evening traffic. Y'all got nothing else? I'm trying to think what else is going on. I can't think of nothing else at the moment. So if y'all ain't got nothing else you want to discuss or throw out there, I didn't title this that thing about Cupid and Psyche. You be doing part 2. Peace, sister my I am going to do part 2 to that. Um, I wanted to try to do it at home where I can do it on my little virtual classroom where I can write, or I might just have to do it like I did the last time, just hold my phone with one hand and write with the other. But if I do it in my little virtual classroom and then just load it up to YouTube later, that might be better. Let's see, why do they use Prince in the ritual? Oh yeah, I forgot about the part where they flash Prince. I think it's twofold. I think part of it is to make mockery of him. I mean, Prince associated with Justin Timberlake. Now, they know that Justin Timberlake is a joke, talent-wise, period. So the whole thing of Prince being associated with Justin Timberlake was just, part of it was to make mockery, and the other thing was to try to channel his energy. They trying to tap in, just like, it's on that Kabbalah. Any updates on what you've been gathering from it? Yeah, they were. I'm coming to that, Kristen. They were. And I first, the first thing that just came in my spirit when I looked at it was they're just trying to make a mockery of Prince. And either way you look at it, whether any way of it being associated with Justin Timberlake is a mockery. Now, I will say this though, they were in Prince's hometown, which is Minnesota or Minneapolis. So I could not be so cynical and say, well, they were just trying to pay tribute. They were in his hometown, and Minnesota is purple. Prince's whole thing was purple. So I don't know. I guess you can look at it both ways. But given the fact of what happened, that we know that the Super Bowl is the grand ritual in sports of the year. That is the #1 arena for working a ritual in the sports calendar, is the Super Bowl. That's why it's called the Super Bowl. Hyperbola. It is the great witches' cauldron where they're trying to work some form of magic. Trap the energy in the mirrors when they flash symbol they call down. Hey, there is no truth, all is accepted. So you could be very correct in that. It could, and the thing is, it can be all of it, But that is a good thought though, the mirrors as a form of trapping. And also using the energy of the people in the stadium and getting that trapped in the mirror. So that's something to think about. Krishna on the Kabbalah, basically, I'm just basically feeling like everywhere I look is Kabbalah. And when I first started really getting more into it, I was always intimidated by Kabbalah because it seemed, I guess I hear people talk about it and it sounds so, technical, and set aside a whole section of time just to really devote to. And what I'm really discovering, we've been already studying Kabbalah, and it's just that simple. And the Kabbalah is all in the Bible. Kabbalah to me, and it's just to me, And I know um, I tend to maybe oversimplify things, but that's just to me, the truth should be simple. But to me, Kabbalah is, when I look at that triad that is outside of the supposed formed, congealed reality, which they call Ein Sof, I find that concept everywhere. That basic concept, I find that basic concept in Hinduism. I find that with the triadic Godhead, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. I find it in Islam with the three ancient Islam with the three goddesses. I can't remember their names. I got them written down at home. But there are three goddesses. There's Alat, it's Alat. I can't remember the other two. Christianity tries to maintain some degree of it with, they call it the Trinity. All of these things is nothing but just basic Kabbalah. Now that Bible is nothing but Kabbalah. Now that I go down, let me see, 23rd Psalm is leaving my mind. Yea, do I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thine art with me, thy rod and thy staff. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. So you would be the middle pillar. The rod and the staff would be the Joachim, Boaz, the two pillars of the Kabbalah. So I don't know if I have any fantastic new twists. I think mine is just a realization of what's already been there, and we didn't know that it was basic Kabbalah. Kabbalah is just your hands. It's that simple. You got 10 Sephiroth, you got 10 phalanges. Now, these 10 Sephiroth, you can take these 10 fingers and you can get on an 88 key keyboard and you can put together all types of melodies. There is no end to the melodies that you can create on your keyboard with these 10 Sephiroth. Now these 10 Sephiroth then connect with 22 major arcana and become 32 paths of Kabbalah. Well, this is another me simplifying. Well, what are these different paths? These are all different chords that I can play on the keyboard. Now the keyboard, what does that represent? The harp that's laying down on its side. So the piano is nothing but a string instrument that is still on its side, and the string instrument is creating a vibration. So these 10 Sephiroth are creating vibrations, and we have to go through all these different locks or these different combinations to pick this master lock. We're going to have to play every key, every note on the scale or whatever instrument we're playing to unlock the great mystery. Now the great mystery is the ineffable, the unnameable, what we cannot even try to describe. And what Kabbalah says is that you cannot contain what is beyond Kether, which would be that Godhead, that Ein Sof. We can't even contain it or begin to even understand it because it is beyond a human container. So basically, you got to die to even approach that. But we can push our minds, because this mind does not die. And this mind, when they talk about building the world to come, I think that's what we're doing right now. But what that's going to look like, I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue. That's the great mystery. When my daddy got to the end of his life, you know, I was really kicking hard, and just, I would call him up and talk his ear off about stuff I was learning, and he's like, all right, preacher. Well, you done wore me out. I gotta go. And well, we'd talk about things, and sometimes he would just say, you know, sometimes, you know, some stuff I just don't know. I just, you know, I don't know if it's for us to figure out. And I would get frustrated sometimes because, especially being in Aquarius, you know, Aquarians want to know. And we take pride, I think most of us take pride in knowing, you know, and my Aquarian nature, I think, took over at the time, and I might have got a little frustrated. It's like, man, I'm not accepting that, of just, oh, well, you know, some stuff, but old folks have a degree of wisdom that you can't buy and you can't get in a book. And you learn this as you get older and you season more, and you just start to change, and you get, and I'm coming to that understanding that there are some things I'm not going to be able to fully get, probably in this lifetime. Does that mean I'm going to stop trying though? Nope. And see, that's the secret. Oh man, I sound like Elmer Fudd with that. The secret, or Mike Tyson. You know your secret. The secret to it all is the quest. And if you go and look at any mythology, it's always about the hero or the heroine merely being about the business of the quest. And that's how they started getting rewards, by being hungry just to be on the quest. And when we go back through this Cupid and Psyche story and we finish it, that's going to be another example of someone being on a quest. And that is one of the greatest stories, or one of the great stories to talk about, because psyche is the mind. And that's all we're really doing. We're pushing our mind. Let me say this. The real war is not a lot of the things that are being presented to us. We're being given a lot of things to stir our emotions, and a lot of things to cause distractions. And it's hard to separate from that, because we are emotional creatures. And that's part of the beauty of being a human, is that you can feel. But I guarantee you that this whole thing is coming down to the mind. That's it. That's it. That is the last battleground. So just possessing the mindset to still want to be on a quest, period, is commendable in itself. And I think sometimes, myself included, we can get a little beside ourselves because we think that we have a level of understanding and somebody's not there, and it can come off uh, a little off-putting. You can be a little too aggressive. I can be that way sometimes because I feel like I understand something at a certain level, and I might see something or hear somebody else talking, and I'm like, no, that ain't it. But what I have to remind myself is that it ain't about everybody being at no certain level. It's about this. In this world where you could easily be consumed with 1,000,001 things that have no substance, if you have any degree of desire, that's another thing that's going to be key in this story about psyche, is desire. If you have a great desire just to want to know more than the mundane and what is right in your face, you are special. I don't care if you just now today just stumbled across some of this type of information, and today on February 16, 2018, this is your first time thinking, you know what, I want to know more about this and that and da da da. You are special. Period, point blank. Because it's just going to come down to the mind. Who's got one and who ain't. So I've rambled long enough. I'm gonna get ready to shut this down, and I'll be back with this discussion on Psyche and Cupid, and we'll round. Oh, that was my turn. We'll wrap this thing up. If all minds are clear, today is the lunar. That's right, lunar. Well, I thought it was the 18th. Is it today? It's about melody of our different vibrations and focuses becoming unified at the apex heart. Thanks for all. No doubt, brother. That is well said. Well said. And there goes back to that analogy about playing that keyboard. We got these 10 fingers, and you wonder, how can so many different melodies come out of just 88 keys? But they do. That's what's up, Krishna. All right, so this is the start of the Lunar New Year. I'm gonna have to go home and look into this, because we talked about that, about the importance of looking into the Chinese astrology. That's definitely worth putting some time and attention into, because like we say, when you go into an Asian establishment, certain things are always there. They got their little altar set up, they got their own little banks. It's something to, be a scientist, pay attention to everything, as my cousin Tony Roof said. Bap, pay attention. So happy Lunar New Year to everybody. And we're expecting marvelous things, because we are marvelous people. And even though we're still hunting for the answers, make no bones about it, as brother uh, Bobby would say, you know, we are the return of the great old ones. The great gathering. So I'm gonna wrap it up on that and talk to my girls, or my one child who's not asleep. And I appreciate y'all tuning in. Y'all stay down till you get up. When you get up, stay down. And if y'all up later, who knows? Maybe we can do a live, and we can just talk about this thing with Psyche. We can just do it live. So if you have not yet, hit the bell on the channel so you get the update when I drop a video or I'm going live. And if you have not, make sure you subscribe and share these videos. You know, I got to learn to do all this PR stuff. So appreciate y'all. Holler back at you. Peace.